Welcome to the Creepin' It Real Show, your one-stop shop for weird news, spooky, and otherworldly and paranormal shenanigans. We'll take a dive into what's going on in creepy pop culture. You can follow Creepin' It Real Show on Twitter at creepin_it. You can email us at creepinitrealshow@gmail.com. You can also go to our website, creepinitrealshow.com. Without further ado, welcome to this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to the Creepin' It Real Show. I am one of your hostesses with the mostesses, Miss Moni, and I am very excited on this Mardi Gras weekend to be here with, I'm going to throw it over to a special co-host, actually. We have Mr. Dan here, our sometimes guest host. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, and how about yourself?
I'm pretty good, and actually we're going to have, where we would have had one Yardley, it takes two men to fill his space. So at the end of the show, we're going to have another special guest male. But for right now, we want to throw it over to Kristi over there laughing in Atlanta. How you doing?
I'm good. I am trying to wake up and clear my brain because I know, and they're laughing at me because it's like 7 a.m. over there and it's 11 here. So yeah. I figured I was going to get a really, really hungover Moni this morning, but I didn't. And that was a pleasant, well, I don't know. It would have been an entertaining enjoyment to hear you hungover as well. But
don't get me wrong. I'm a mess. My husband and I went out. His birthday was yesterday. And we went out to the gas lamp area of San Diego, and they're doing Mardi Gras, which it's nothing compared to your guys's, but to New Orleans, but it is still a lot of dipshit drunk people stumbling around the streets. We went to the Sugar Factory, which has a theater there, and what a shit show that place was. I got a Groupon for like drinks and all these things. The drinks were gross. The clientele sucked. The music was horrible. The theater didn't even get cleaned within 5 minutes of the next show starting, and then they didn't have any air conditioning on. It was just a mess. It's a hot mess. I had fun with my guy, but yeah, anyway, I do not recommend. And Pitbull, who I adore, is, the actual entertainer. He invested in that. And I'm like, what are they doing? Like getting a tax write-off for the loss on that place? Because, ugh.
Is it like that what was that festival on that island that ended up being like a disaster?
Oh my gosh, the Fire Festival.
Festival.
No.
Is it like that for
California? We left the theater and there's just dipshits stumbling around. And I don't suffer that kind of stuff. And I was too sober for that shit. And I was just literally telling bitches, I'm like, move. I'm trying to walk here. So, yeah, I'm not a nice old lady.
You wouldn't do well in Mardi Gras then, speaking of. That's where Yardley is.
No, I don't think so. And did you see Yardley posted, so as of 6 hours ago, when I got home last night, he was alive. But did you see that they've had 2 fatalities? It's pretty awful. Somebody got hit by a float and stuff.
Wow, no, I have not seen. I haven't looked on Instagram this morning, so not surprised. It gets pretty crazy down there, like bananas. So
I guess they've had to like shut stuff down though. So it's not even. Everybody's saying it's bad juju for Mardi Gras this year, and kind of crazy. So yeah, he was right behind a float. He said he tweeted it that someone got run over and killed. So
wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's not a fun way to party, y'all.
No.
So on that fun note, let's talk about what we've been watching. Kristi, what have you been watching?
I haven't been watching too much, but I did catch that movie Underwater on my movie apps that I have on Apple TV. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't great either. I was kind of surprised because it's got Kristen Stewart, and I don't necessarily like her. But since that whole Twilight shit, she's usually been kind of picky about what she decides to pick. So,
once you become your first billion, I guess now you can be picky about what you do.
So I was thinking this thing should be good. She's in it. It wasn't bad. It was pretty cheesy. It takes place all underwater. It's basically, it has the whole ecosystem message to it, and which is fine. And if you are claustrophobic, you definitely don't want to watch this movie. You will be like gasping for breath because it's underwater. Things are collapsing and they're trying to get to the surface. It's like 7 miles underwater. So
yeah,
and
I wonder how that would have been in like a 4K theater.
Yeah. I think that was, because I'm watching it on TV and it wasn't the greatest of quality because it was a movie app and, it's not yet ready to come out. So I was watching it early. It was okay. I enjoyed it, but the ending was kind of cheesy. So that I'll just say that I liked it up until the end. But I didn't hate the end. I was just kind of like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, all right, whatever.
But that's a waste of life to spend a couple hours and then be like, meh.
If you watch it for free, watch it. It's watchable for sure. I mean, it has like 6 point something on IMDb, so it didn't, it's not completely a disaster. I guess my expectations were just a little bit higher because, again, Kristen Stewart, I mean, to me, she has the acting skills of a piece of cardboard, but people really like her. And so,
no, Kristi, be fair to cardboard.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you.
Cardboard is useful.
Exactly.
I told you that Joe and I saw Kristen Stewart and Charlize on stage together for that.
God.
For what? I'm sorry.
I would never stand next to Charlize Theron.
Well, no, and that's exactly it. Joe looked at it, and he hates Kristen Stewart anyway, but they were next to each other. And, Charlize is really engaging on stage and was like talking, with the audience and making jokes. And Kristen was doing her whole like lean forward, hair in the face thing.
Her little
and
lip
Joe's
bite.
like, those two don't even look like the same species next to each other. So.
And, to be fair, don't
stand next to Charlize if you're female.
Yeah. If you're alive and of any capacity, like, do not stand next to her.
Charlize.
She's like a goddess, but
she is.
I think
she's even hotter in person if that's possible.
I know. I can't even fathom. I would probably my eyes would probably explode if I saw her in person.
I'm pretty sure I had an instant orgasm just looking at her from afar. So.
Every time I see her commercials, I'm just like, oh, you're hot. But as far as Kristen, like, I hear she's got a really bad anxiety disorder and has like social awkwardness. But to me, it's like, then don't be an actor. Like, that's what like everything an actor is. It's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Be like a theater actor where you're not expected to do like the social engagement.
You still have to act in front of people. Like, I mean, hello. Like, if you're in the theater, it's even worse because you're acting in front of a crowd. Whereas at least on TV, you're recorded and put on a screen. But
yeah, I think though that they find it to be a different thing from like when you're in the mode of being someone else versus when you have to be yourself in front of people. Though
I don't know. I really don't. I know people adore her, and I totally get. I'm like, cool. Everybody's got their person, right? For me, but with all of that, I still had some expectations because she's reached the stardom that she has. That this would be, a good movie, and I mean, it wasn't bad. It was just there. It was just a movie to me that you would catch on Sci-Fi, and if you caught it on Sci-Fi, one of the Sci-Fi movies, you'd be like, "Wow, this was a good movie."
Good quality.
Does that
too,
make sense? Yeah, it was like, oh, I mean, as much money as they put into this, I think the story could have been a little bit different because there was just some really cheesy parts of it that I was just kind of like, huh. But so it was a great sci-fi movie, but unfortunately it wasn't a sci-fi movie. So there in itself is the crutch. So there you go, you guys.
Boo. I haven't watched anything in the horror realm that was new. I saw The Gentleman last night, and that was the only good thing besides being with my guy about that experience at the Sugar Factory. But The Gentleman is a really good film. It's a Guy Ritchie film, and we both really enjoyed it. Like, I kind of want to own that one when it comes out.
I've never heard of it.
It's got Matthew McConaughey. It's got Charlie Hunnam. It has the chick who plays Lady Mary, Megan something or other from Downton Abbey, but she's like super hot and really just a really pretty badass female character. Oh. There's a lot of known actors when you watch it. It's funny. It's really smart. It's elegant. I highly, highly recommend. And Dan watched something actually. We popped his Saw cherry. He had never seen the Saw franchise. What? And so he's so funny because when he watches a movie, he sits there and he'll go, so is this what's going to happen next? I'm like, I don't know. He's like one of my children. I'm like, just watch. And sure enough, like, I tell him about having your mind blown by the first Saw, seeing it for the first time.
Somehow, all these years, I've managed to miss the spoiler twist.
What?
In Saw?
In Saw, at the very end.
Oh, are you talking about the original one? The original.
Yeah.
I never saw the original.
I'm sorry. For some reason, you lost me there. And I was like, I had to go back into my Saw category because there's like 1,000 of them. And I'm like, the first one. What is the first one about again?
The rest of them get dumb and diluted, but the first one's quite clever. And he's like, good. I don't like torture porn type of movies. And I'm like, it's not really that for the sake of itself. It's a pretty smart script. And sure enough.
Yeah, Yeah, I think I was always under the impression they turned into torture porn, basically.
Yeah.
Or I could be, well, at least just from the previews I saw. I also sometimes got them mixed up with Hostel.
Oh, you know what? Hostel messed with me. It's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I think that was, I can't even remember the dude that directed them or made them, but I remember seeing the previews where it's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm
Eli
out.
Roth.
Eli Roth, yeah.
And everything he does is pretty brutal for the sake of itself. So
yeah, he's got a fucked up mind, which I like. So
we do. So let's roll forward into Patreon shout outs. We have a few new subscribers. Kristi, do you want to tell us? Actually, Kristi has all kinds of business news for our podcast. This girl is always looking for opportunities for us, and she's a hustler. Tell us about it, girl.
Well, first of all, big thank you to April and Alicia. They're our newest subscribers, and we give you guys a shout out when you join, and we really appreciate it. There's a lot of extra stuff that we're doing on Patreon that if you're not on there, you really are missing out. Moni does, talking about hustling, Moni does a ton of tours and goes to haunted jaunts and stuff all over California and puts those in the photos and does descriptions of her experiences, a little bit more of a deep dive than what we do on the show on there. We've got movie reviews that I plan on at some point when I can take a breath to put those back in, that if we're watching a movie, do we recommend it or not? So you guys don't have to waste your time and money on them. We have the second part of the Stephanie Crow episode that we put on here. Due to the sensitive nature of that episode, we decided to take it off our podcast. And when you listen to it, you'll know why. And yeah, so we just got a lot of shit going on there. And so you're missing out. And there's a lot of people starting to join. So you better get in there.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of an experiment to see if anybody will respond to it. It's new. I don't think anybody else has done this in the podcast arena, but I thought about it and I was like, what would be a cool way for the listeners to interact with us? I thought about doing a Facebook Live, but a lot of the people that listen to us are not on Facebook. And so we have like a really big following of Facebook people, but it's mainly because we throw out the most dank memes online. So we kind of just get a whole other audience.
And we actually interact. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we interact with you guys on there. And so there's really not very many listeners on our Facebook page, but we have a pretty big following on Facebook. It's kind of funny. But so I was like, that's not really a good option for us just because of that fact. So I decided to try a texting where all you have to do is type creep to 21,000 and that signs you up to be able to ask us questions. So if you sign up, you're automatically then included into the text threads and you can ask us a question, if any kind of question. If it's vulgar or nasty or mean, we're going to block you. But if you have a personal question about our lives or about the show or anything you're curious about, you can just hit creep to 21,000 and you're in there. And then you can text us anything. I've been kind of playing with it. And yeah, so I think Dan signed up, right, Dan? Did you sign up and then you responded?
Yes, I did.
So I got it. Okay, so then
I signed up for the text and the message on Facebook. Hey, I signed up. Yay.
And then did you respond like, that's really cool or something like that in the text? Was that you or was that somebody else? I don't know whose phone numbers are whose. So I just saw somebody sign up at the beginning and they were like, wow, that's really cool in the text.
No, that was not
you.
me.
Okay, so somebody did. Somebody was like, "Wow, this is really cool," and I didn't really know how it was going to work. And we got the text. It's in the system, so it's like a system. It's not going to my phone number, but I get a text when somebody texts it. And so it's immediate. And so as soon as this person signed up, he then could ask us questions. And so, because he responded to my automated text that, after you sign up. So anyway, that was really cool. I learned something there that we don't have to do anything special. Like once you've signed up, you're in and you can ask questions to that phone number and you don't have to, or to that 21,000 and you don't have to do anything special. So thought that was pretty cool. And and here it is. This is a test. Yeah. Hello from a live show. And there it is. He just came through. So that's really cool. So we're going to try it out and see what happens. And if you guys have any questions, so all you have to do is do the creep to 21,000 and then you're in. And then you can ask us anything. Or you can make requests for a show or whatever you want to do. Tell us personal experience or anything you want. So we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. So you guys sign up and let's have some fun with it.
Yeah, for sure. And I was so confused when I first saw it, but I'm really happy we're doing it. And speaking of texting and doing requests and interacting with us for a show, I'm trying to find their name, but I did a shout out last week to the listener who inspired us to do this particular show. I posted something about which zodiac sign each serial killer belonged to. And one of our listeners was like, this would be a fun show topic. So if I find your name, I will shout out to you. But thank you for that. We do listen because this whole thing, here we go, was inspired by that. It was Stephanie. She said this would make a great show topic. So here we are. This is going to be a dating game. I'm pretty sure it's going to be fun for the hosts. I'm not as sure it's going to be fun for the listeners or that it's even going to work well. I wrote this all myself from scratch, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So here are the rules. We're going to play this like the dating game, but it's updated for 2020. So we're calling it Who Would You Rather? Serial Killer Edition.
Okay.
You can also decide at the end if you want to kill, marry, or fuck each of them. Mm-hmm. That's a category for bonus laughs.
So we can't kill all of them because they're serial killers?
Nope. This is like gun to you or your child's head. You have to pick someone to date, and then we'll do kill, marry, fuck as well. And you're going to go in blind and not know who you got, but then we'll reveal all of them, and we'll learn a little bit about the killers as we do that. So I'm going to read Kristi descriptions of 3 eligible bachelors, allow her to choose blindly, and then we will reveal who she gets to date. You guys ready?
Yes.
Woohoo, I'm excited. I needed a good date. That I can hear.
And you may be able to guess some of these, but I guarantee you won't be able to guess all of them.
And good date means that where I'm fearing for my life, because that's exciting. So bring it.
Basically. I mean, you get that cardio in, right?
Exactly.
Bachelor number 1 is a bastard son originally from Vermont, but spends his time in multiple states, including Florida, Utah, and Colorado. He likes younger women and is known as a real ladies' man. Highly intelligent and mysterious, this one will charm you right to death. He's a Sagittarius, which means he is independent and strong-willed and all about going off the beaten path. Sagittarius isn't afraid to step away from the pack and is a natural-born leader who goes after what he wants, regardless of what other people think. Sagittarius is a born adventurer and loves solo travel and exploration. So that's bachelor number 1. Bachelor number 2
I think I know who this is because the Sagittarius
these
thing.
These are easy ones, but then it gets harder. You're going to know who this one is. Bachelor number 2 is a Milwaukee native who earned quite a reputation in his community. Probably batting for the other team, you won't have to worry about him ogling other females. Just watch out for his insatiable sexual prowess. Have a cup of coffee with this bachelor, and he will convince you to stay forever. As a Gemini, this bachelor is smart, passionate, and dynamic, and known for having 2 different sides that they can display to the world. Expert communicators, Gemini is the chameleon of the zodiac, adept at blending into different groups based on the vibe and energy that they perceive. And finally, bachelor number 3. A real hometown boy from Illinois, this handyman can make or fix anything you break. Don't be fooled by his simple mama's boy demeanor. This bachelor knows how to wear the pants and the skin. Will you be his next homemade lampshade? Smart, sophisticated, and kind, this Virgo gets the job done without complaining. He's an amazing friend, always there to lend advice or a hand or borrow your hand for home decor. So, Kristi, who would you rather?
Well, I definitely know who number 3 is, and I actually matched with him on Instagram.
I saw that.
Which made me laugh because it was literally the show we were doing that week, and so that cracked me up. I'm going to have to go with number 1 because he's a Sag like me, and after you posted that thing on Facebook, I was very disturbed to see how many Sagittarius serial killers there were. I was like,
There's a ton.
Yeah, which we're so like chill and like adaptable that cracks me up. That then I guess we either are or we really, really are not, where like we just start killing everybody. So I'm going to go with number 1.
And what's funny with that is Pisces is supposed to be really chill too. And there's a ton of Pisces on the list.
Yeah.
So anyway, so bachelor number 1, congratulations. You chose Ted Bundy, the notorious and arguably sexy serial killer and rapist.
I would definitely fuck him out of the 3. I don't know. I might. Who would I want to marry, though?
A sexual serial killer who famously had one of his young victims escape his in-home torturing, only to have the cops send the man back to Dahmer because they didn't want to be involved in a gay couple's quarrel. He famously stored and ate his victims.
I would definitely marry him because he would have zero interest with me. I would be his beard. So I'm safe there. And then I'd kill Gein.
I was going to say that you have to kill. So bachelor number 3, as she mentioned, is Ed Gein, also known as the Butcher of Plainfield or the Plainfield Ghoul. We talked about him last week when we did our, Texas Chainsaw Massacre show. Mm-hmm. He is a convicted murderer and body snatcher. His crimes were committed around his hometown of Plainfield, Wisconsin, and gathered widespread notoriety after authorities discovered Gein had exhumed corpses from local graveyards and fashioned trophies and keepsakes from their bones and their skin. So she did her kill, marry, fuck. Yes, I wrote this myself, but Kristi's going to do some for Dan, and I'll just want you to know when my part comes up, I didn't read, I picked people I didn't really know about and didn't memorize the order, so I still get to sort of kill, marry, fuck. I didn't think about it.
Okay,
but good. Kristi, you're going to do the same thing now for Mr. Dan, and he's got some female serial killers to choose from.
Dan, you lucky dog. All right.
Oh, I can hardly wait.
Dan, here are your carefully cultivated female choices, and the same rules apply. Bachelorette number 1, a sassy broad from across the pond. I already know who this is. This infamous UK native developed and honed her skills at an early age. Once she gets her hands on you, expect to never be the same. But beware, this one likes to take all the credit and then mysteriously vanish. As another Gemini, expect this bachelorette to be energetic and quick-witted. Geminis never get stuck in the past and don't ruminate on what might have been. Instead, they move forward with glass half full optimism, a glass of blood, and an ability to always look on the bright side and land on their feet in nearly any situation.
Tempting.
Bachelorette number 2 is an entrepreneur from a young age. You'll love to buy the expert craft she sells. This Florida gal, I know who this is too, boasts a long rap sheet, knows how to take care of herself, and always shoots point blank and from the hip. Maybe one of her bullets will hit your heart. Expect this Pisces, this is a Pisces, to be sensitive. Sometimes a Pisces may feel like they have an internal and external self, and they may need to spend a lot of time solo to recalibrate those two halves of themselves. A Pisces is rarely lonely when they are by themselves and have an active imagination. Imagine yourself with this good time gal.
Good thing I have an active imagination.
Bachelorette number 3, with the reputation that precedes her, this media dubbed most evil woman in Britain could be the life partner you're looking for. A body blonde, this team player is up for any twisted game you want to play, so bring your imagination. Born in the cusp of her zodiac, this fiery Leo is bold, intelligent, warm, and courageous. Leo is a natural leader of the zodiac, ready to blaze a trail and make a name for themselves along the way. Blessed with high self-esteem, lions know that they possess enviable traits, and they're proud of them. You will be too if you choose this bachelorette. So, Dan, who's it gonna be?
I have to pick one. Wow, they're all so tempting. I'll go with number 2.
You got, speaking of Charlize Theron.
You picked the one that played by her.
Eileen Wuornos, although she was not at her best in this movie, so I wouldn't be too excited about it. Eileen was a serial killer who was really did like picking up men. Between 1989 and 1990, Eileen Wuornos murdered 7 men. She experienced a lot of sexual abuse as a child, especially at the hands of her grandfather. Her notorious killing spree ended up on the big screen with the movie Monster. Eileen supported herself and her lover Tyria through prostitution. She claimed her murders were carried out in self-defense against men who were attempting rape. Yeah, if you were there... That's funny.
You're paying for sex.
Yeah. Anyway. What were they going to pay you for then, lady? Yeah. It is likely she killed her first victim, Richard Mallory, in self-defense. Mallory served a 10-year prison sentence for sexual assault, and that's probably what made her just snap. Nevertheless, she was found guilty and executed by the state of Florida by lethal injection in 2002.
Nice.
So
Tell us about our other ladies before he decides who to kill, marry, and fuck.
Here's your other two bachelorettes. Mary Bell is number one. On May 25th, 1968, the day before her 11th birthday, Mary Bell strangled 4-year-old Martin Brown in a derelict house. She was believed to have committed this crime alone. Between then and a second killing, she and a friend, Norma Joyce Bell, no relation, age 13, broke into and vandalized a nursery in Scotswood, leaving notes that claimed responsibility for the killing. The police dismissed this incident as a prank. In July 1968, the two girls took part in the strangulation death of a 3-year-old Britton Howe on Wasteland in the same Scotswood area. Police reports concluded that Mary Bell later returned to his body to carve an M into the boy's abdomen and used scissors to cut off some of his hair, scratch his legs, and mutilate his genitals. Damn, lady.
Yeah.
Damn, girl. On December 17th, 1968, at Newcastle Assizes, Norma Bell was acquitted, but Mary Bell was convicted of manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. The judge, Justice Cusack, described her as dangerous and said she posed a very grave risk to other children. She was sentenced to be detained at Her Majesty's pleasure, effectively an indefinite sentence of imprisonment. Ooh. After her conviction, Bell was the focus of a great deal of attention from British press. Her mother repeatedly sold stories about her to the press, often gave reporters writings she claimed to be her daughter's. Bell herself made headlines in September 1977 when she briefly escaped from her Moore Court open prison. Her penalty for this was a loss of prison privileges for 28 days. In 1980, 23-year-old Bell was released from prison after serving 12 years and was granted anonymity. I know what I'm supposed to say and I can't say it.
She was anonymous.
Yeah, that's good. Allowing her to start her new life. 4 years after finishing her sentence, she had a daughter. The girl knew nothing of her mother's past until reporters discovered Bell's location in 1998, and the pair had to leave their home with bedsheets over their heads. Bell's daughter's anonymity was originally protected only until she reached age of 18. However, in May 2003, Bell won a high court battle to have her own anonymity, and that of her daughter is extended for life. Consequently, any court order permanently protecting the identity of a convict in Britain is sometimes known as Mary Bell Order. The order was later updated to include Mary's granddaughter in January 2009, who was referred to as Z. Mary's current whereabouts are unknown. Ooh, that's scary. So the last one was another one we've done a show on. Myra Henley and her lover, Ian Brady, plotted and carried out the rapes and deaths of 5 young children in England. What's it with the UK people that like to kill kids, man?
Kids, I know.
We try, at least us women try to stick to adult men over here, or women.
Yeah.
Anyway, the pair, except for those fucked up ones that kill their own kids, which I can't figure that out. But anyway, the pair buried the children in Saddleworth Moor during the 1960s. Henley and Brady were turned into the police by Henley's brother-in-law, who had witnessed Bradley killing a boy with an axe. God, shockingly, the couple kept photographs and an audio recording of one of their victims. The most evil woman in Britain died in prison in 2002 at the age of 60. So, Dan, now this is, you're going to have a hard decision to make here.
Oh, yeah, because I've got 2 child murderers I have to choose between.
One only killed 1 kid or 2 kids. The other one killed 5. I don't know.
That and their kids, so you're safe.
I don't know. I can be pretty immature given the right day. As most men can. Mm-hmm. All right. Crap. Huh. Okay, kill the First Lady Mary because holy crap.
Yeah.
And then marry Myra and then take her through a very lengthy divorce process that is a form of death, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Or liberation. And then fuck Eileen.
Yeah, and just put Charlize Theron in her. Close your eyes and picture
and
Charlize.
She knows what she's doing. She's across. So
yeah. She knows what she's doing. She'll help you out. Yeah. All right.
I'd die happy.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. All right, Moni. Dan?
It's time for me to choose.
All right. I promised an announcer voice from the 70s because at one point I did a costume as a game show host.
Perfect.
All right, so I'll see if I can channel that inner nerd.
Sorry to hear.
I'm like, you really did set yourself up, and I was just going to be quiet, but Moni took him down, so thanks.
Kristi, I always set myself up. I wanted to see who's going to spike.
I try to be nice because I don't know you that well, so I'm like, I'll just be really nice so he's not like, God, you're a bitch. But you already know that, so I guess I shouldn't be that.
Kristi, you do you. I always enjoy your humor.
All right. I can't wait to see who Moni's going to choose.
All right. Moni, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, bachelor number 1. No clowning around. This bachelor is a hot commodity in the Chicago suburbs. This home-owning entertainer boasts the most swinging teen hangout in his basement. You'll have so much fun you'll never want to leave, which is good because you may not. When this Pisces speaks up, people listen. Pisces tend to take in everything around them, and they are great people to ask for advice on pretty much anything. While Pisces have strong convictions about the best way for them to live, they have a live and let live approach when it comes to others, and accepting and non-judgmental of all. All right, you ready for bachelor number 2?
Oh, yes.
This Staten Island native had your typical dark origin story, learning to gamble and drink at a young age. But don't worry, ladies. He works hard for his money and is a real straight shooter. Come find out what secrets he has buried, both in his heart and behind his shed. As a true Virgo, he won't spoil secrets right away, and it's important to earn his trust. But once you do, that Virgo will be a friend for life. And if you think that you're dating a shy Virgo, trust that those walls will fall down in the bedroom and under his cellar. All right. Bachelor number 3. This guy loves ridding the earth of so-called scum and isn't afraid to get dirty. Fond of keeping it all in the family from a young age, bachelor number 3 found his calling and graduated early, following in his mama's footsteps. But don't let his sweet persona fool you. He's not afraid to dredge up some garbage and take care of business. A true Virgo, like him, expects perfection from themselves, and they may project those high standards on other people in their life. And in his case, it shows in his work ethic. Now, a Virgo hates when someone lets him down. So don't be afraid to pick this man up. So, Moni, who's it going to be? Bachelor number 1, bachelor number 2, or bachelor number 3?
I think I have to go with bachelor number 1 because he's a homeowner, and if he's clowning around, he sounds like someone who can make me laugh.
Oh, girl. Yeah.
All right, you have selected the best bachelor ever, John Wayne Gacy.
Woo!
Serial killer party clown for hire in Chicago who lured teens to their death in his basement.
I am dying to do him on have a show on him. He is
Kristi's dying to do him. We know who she's going to fuck.
No. I hate clowns, and so this is like my worst nightmare come to life.
But
so
wouldn't that like get the pump blood running as you're running away?
Yes.
All right, let's do this next guy. Ooh, this is an interesting name. Richard Bergenwald, I believe. Born in Staten Island, New York, Bergenwald was frequently beaten as a child by his alcoholic father. At the age of 5, he set fire to their home and was sent for observation at a Rockland County Psychiatric Center. When he was 11 years old, he set himself on fire in his mother's home. When he was 16 years old, he graduated from the 8th grade and was released from the training school to attend high school. He dropped out of high school after only a few weeks. He got married, and he and his wife moved to New Jersey. There, he was befriended by a gentleman named Fitzgerald, who would play a role in several of his future murders. On January 1983, police surrounded his home when Fitzgerald also lived. Police lured Richard out of his house using a ruse, and when he stepped off his back porch, he was grabbed by officers. Fitzgerald saw the commotion and hid himself in a secret room with several weapons. Detectives located the room after threatening to shoot through the wall. He surrendered. Search of the home revealed a large cache of weapons and illegal drugs. Police confiscated several pipe bombs, handguns, rifles, shotguns, a machine gun, Rohypnol, chlorette. I think that's
date rape drug.
Marijuana, a live puff adder, venom collecting apparatus, and floor plans for several area notable residences and businesses. As the investigation went on, police located 9 victims, police only had enough evidence to charge Richard with 5 counts of first-degree murder.
Oh, is that all? Wow. I don't think I've ever heard of this guy. He sounds like a hoot.
Yeah, I've not either. Okay, number 3, Tony Blair.
Terry.
Nope, not Tony Blair.
I'm like, isn't that Iron Man? Sorry.
Tony Stark.
Stark. Oh,
Tony Blair was like a prime minister of Britain or something.
Oh, that's right. That's right. God, just ignore me.
Remake Real Show sued for slip. No, Terry Blair. Terry Blair was the 4th of 10 children born to a mentally ill single mom, Janice, living in poverty in Kansas City. Terry witnessed much brutality. First, his brother, Walter, was paid $4,000 to murder a rape victim before she could testify. Walter was sentenced to death. Then another brother, Clifford Miller, got 2 life sentences plus 240 years for kidnapping, shooting, and brutally raping a woman. And Terry's sister, Warnetta, 25, and her husband, Nilo White III, were charged with stabbing a man to death.
Damn.
In May 1982, aged just 20, Terry graduated to murder 2. He killed his ex, Angela Monroe, 19. She had been 7 months pregnant. Man, Blair confessed that he had brutally beaten her to death after discovering she was a prostitute. Mm-hmm. He was convicted of second-degree murder, sentenced to 24 years. In January 2014, he was released on parole. That July, police found the body of prostitute Anne Enwig, 42, on a nearby wasteland. She'd been beaten and strangled to death with her own clothes. Weeks later, an officer investigating a foul-smell discovered 2 bodies under a tarpaulin in an abandoned garage. One was prostitute Sheila McKenzie, 38. Her neck had been broken. A man's semen was found in her vagina and rectum. Beneath her body lay Patricia Wilson, 45, also a prostitute. She was so decomposed the cause of death was unknown. Blair phoned police anonymously. "I put it in there," he bragged, unaware the 2 bodies had already been found. Police soon unearthed remains of prostitute Carmen Hunt, 40, behind flats. Blair wasn't finished. The next night, he phoned police again, reporting 2 more bodies, both prostitutes. "You can smell her," he said. "Why did you kill these prostitutes?" the dispatcher asked. "Because they're scum," came the reply. Police found 2 more bodies, both women strangled with their own clothes, their necks broken. 2 days later, a prostitute flagged down police, terrified. She used the flat above Janice's, and said Blair now admitted he'd killed his ex because she'd been become a prostitute. Then he said he was going to kill all prostitutes because they were the scum of the earth. Blair was arrested and denied any connection to the victims, but his DNA matched semen found on Sheila McKenzie's body. Blair, 43, was charged with 5 murders. In March 2018, he was convicted of all 5.
2008.
Oh, 2008. Mm-hmm. So now, Moni, rate, kill, marry, fuck.
I'm going to kill Terry Blair. That dude, unfortunately, just had a bad start and was no good from the get. I am going to marry Richard because I feel like he's very, he's a good planner. I mean, he has shotguns, rifles, handguns. I've got rape drugs if I need them. Like, I've got all kinds of cool stuff ready to go. So that's good. Mm-hmm. And so I guess I get to fuck a clown. You know, good for me. It's living the dream.
The visual I'm getting on that is just not right. I'm going to have to put brain bleach on me for a long time.
All right, we are going to swap out male co-hosts, but I'm going to go ahead and start reading for Kristi.
Mm-hmm. I get 2 in one show? Wow.
Yeah, you do.
I'm
what a
such
lucky
whore.
Girl you are, you. Okay, so Bachelor number 1 had a successful career as a freelance cameraman in Anchorage, Alaska. But don't let his location turn you cold. He soon became a sunny San Diegan. Oh. This bachelor gained notoriety for his stamina over one long, hard weekend among several ladies. Now ready to settle down, he is quite the mentor for other young ramblers. This Virgo prefers an evening with good friends over a huge party and values downtime just as much as socializing. This sign doesn't need to fill their calendar to be content. Won't you stay at home with him and be his snuggle bunny? Bachelor number 2, a born conspiracy theorist. This man can handle all of your tinfoil hat stories. I thought you'd like that.
That's perfect for me. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm listening. You have my attention now.
Yeah. See, there you go. And he'll treat you to good eats and never lets any mammal parts go to waste. But he's no softy. Just leave your door unlocked and find out how assertive this devilish vampire can be.
Oh, vampire. I like
this Gemini loves dating and the world loves Gemini. But a Gemini will eventually settle down because this sign is incredibly loyal and steadfast once they've chosen a partner. Gemini always loves to keep things fresh and are happy to try almost anything in the bedroom. To them, sex is a celebration of life, and Gemini loves both sex and life, and sometimes even death. Bachelor number 3, if you can stomach some friendly dating rivalry, this bachelor has the killer personality for you. While he's a small-town gent at heart, be ready to travel across multiple state lines with this natural explorer, and be ready when he checks you out. In bed and in relationships, the Sagittarius is able to aptly try new things or break down barriers. In bed, he loves trying new positions, new toys, and making everything an adventure. Pick this bachelor for an adventure of a life or an afterlife time. So, Kristi, who would you rather?
Well, I was going to go with number 1 because I like San Diego, but I think I'm not the biggest fan of Virgos, so I think number 2 is going to take it for me because A, the tinfoil hat, B, the vampire thing, and then C, he's a Gemini. So Geminis are not necessarily as compatible with me, but since one is my kid, I kind of know how to handle them, so I'm going to go with number 2.
All right. So congratulations. You've picked Richard Chase.
Oh, shit. I know who that
is. Yeah. There's even a picture of him. So.
Yes. He is great. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm not surprised at all. Okay. That's not sad.
Girl. Mm-hmm. Richard Trenton Chase was born May 23rd of 1950, died December 26th of 1980. He was an American serial killer who killed 6 people in the span of a month in Sacramento, California. He was nicknamed the Vampire of Sacramento because he drank his victims' blood and cannibalized their remains.
I mean, if he's going to kill, at least he's like doing something. Like I always say, if you're going to hunt, like eat what you kill. So at least he's got that going for him.
He's using all the parts.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So on January 23rd of 1978, he broke into a house and shot Teresa Wallen, who was 3 months pregnant, 3 times. He then had intercourse with her corpse while stabbing her with a butcher knife. He then removed her organs, cut off a nipple, and drank her blood. He stuffed dog feces from her yard down her throat before leaving. Cute. On January 27th, he entered the home of 38-year-old Evelyn Miroth. He encountered her friend, Danny Meredith, whom he shot with his .22 handgun, then took Meredith's wallet and car keys. He fatally shot Miroth, her 6-year-old son, Jason, and her 22-month-old nephew, before mutilating her and engaging in necrophilia and cannibalism with her corpse. So this is all, this all happened in a span of like a month.
Wow, he's a busy
visitor's
guy.
knock on the door startled him. He fled in her car and took Fiera's body with him. The visitor alerted a neighbor who called police. They discovered that Chase had left perfect handprints and shoe prints in her blood, dumbass. He was arrested shortly after. Police who searched his apartment found that the walls, floor, ceiling, refrigerator, and all of his eating and drinking utensils were soaked in blood. On May 8th, 1979, the jury found him not guilty of 6 counts of first-degree murder and, rejecting the argument that he was not guilty by reason of insanity, sentenced him to die in the gas chamber. His fellow inmates, aware of the extremely violent nature of his crimes, feared him and, according to prison officials, often tried to persuade him to commit suicide. He granted a series of interviews with Robert Ressler, during which he spoke of his fears of Nazis and UFOs, and claiming that although he had killed, it was not his fault. Mm-hmm. He had been forced to kill to keep himself alive, which he believed any person would do. Mm-hmm. He asked Ressler to give him access to a radar gun, with which he could apprehend Nazi UFOs so that the Nazis could stand trial for the murders. He also handed Wrestler a large amount of macaroni and cheese, which he had been hoarding in his pants pockets. Believing that prison officials were in league with the Nazis and attempting to kill him with poisoned food. On December 26th of 1980, he was found in his cell dead. An autopsy revealed that he had committed suicide with an overdose of prescribed antidepressants, which he had saved over several weeks. So that's who you
Good
get
for
to
him.
date. Yeah.
Great.
So bachelor number 1 was Dean Carter, Alaska-born in 1957. Carter was working as a freelance television cameraman in Anchorage when he decided to try his luck in California in the spring of '84. His first attack was on March 25th and involved the rape of a San Diego woman who survived his assault. On April 10th, he strangled roommates Jillian Mills and Susan Kroll, stuffing their bodies into the closet of their Culver City apartment. The following day in Los Angeles, he strangled 24-year-old Bonnie Guthrie, a friend of Knoll's, and then moving on to kill 37-year-old Tak Chum Kim in her Oakland apartment. Wow, he's got around California on April 13th. A day later, the fast-moving killer was back in San Diego, where he strangled 25-year-old Jeanette Collins to death in her home. He was arrested on May 15th in Ventura County. He really did a lot of driving. Carter was held in lieu of a $1 million bond while detectives built their case. Evidence recovered from his car linked Carter to the Oakland strangulation, and within a week, he'd been charged with 5 counts of murder, marking an end to his rampage. He spends his days on death row trying to inform the world about the American justice system and life on death row. He reaches out to a lot of people, including students, through letter writing and columns on his Dead Man Talking website. The website is hosted by one of his friends. So he's kind of famous, y'all. Good for him.
Interesting.
And then the last gentleman, bachelor number 3, Alton Coleman. Alton Coleman was born in 1955, died in 2002. He was an African-American serial killer executed by the state of Ohio for the murder of 44-year-old Marlene Walters of Norwood, Ohio, during a 6-state killing spree in 1984. Coleman received 4 death sentences from 3 Midwest states, Illinois, Ohio, which he received 2 death sentences in, and Indiana. At the time of his execution, he was the only condemned person in the country to have death sentences in 3 states. His partner in crime, Deborah Denise Brown, was originally slated to be executed in Ohio, but in 1991, her death sentence was commuted to life in prison by the governor. During the summer of 1984, the then 28-year-old Coleman and Brown, who was 21 at the time, embarked upon a killing spree through the Midwestern states. By the time they were caught, Coleman was charged or wanted in questioning for assaults of at least 20 people in 13 separate attacks, including 7 murders. Almost all the victims were African-American like Coleman and Brown, but authorities said that was simply because the duo knew they would blend better in the Black community and that there were no racial motives in the murders. So now, Miss Kristi, also, who would you like to kill, marry, or fuck?
This is a really difficult one. Let's see. I would kill Dean Carter.
Okay.
Because just for reasons.
He's a throwaway character. I getcha.
I would fuck Richard Chase just because I would not marry that guy if that's how he keeps his house with like parts and bearing everywhere. Like I ain't gonna live in that
mess.
And I guess I would marry Alton just because I don't know. I mean, he's just as bad as the others, but I just don't think that. I mean, he has a couple, so maybe I'd be all right.
I mean, you get to travel a lot. With
yeah,
him,
I'd be traveling, and he has a partner in crime, so that means I guess he's cool with a woman by his side. So if I want to live reasons, he would be the one I would want to spend my time with out of the 3.
All right. Well, solid choices made there.
I'm so glad I have to think about this. I'm like, let me put some reason behind my answers.
Well, yeah, I know. But that's what makes it hilarious too. So,
all right.
And then we come to our final round where we have brought in an additional male co-host. Again, I said it takes 2 men to fill 1 Yardley shoes, but we have my husband, Mr. Joe, here. Say hi.
Hi, I'm back.
Hello,
You're
Joe.
back. Yes, he's back again. And Kristi's going to read. So, Joe, it's a dating game. You pick who you want to date blind, and then we read about who they all are, and then you'd have to decide, gun to your head, who do you kill, marry, or fuck. Are you ready?
I like the gun to my head kind of.
Well, I mean, it's not like you're going to kill, marry, or fuck these women,
in real life. Is this going to cause any kind of marriage discord at the end?
I know, right?
Moni's
He's like, I don't need a gun to my head. I just want to move on.
It just may cause a reevaluation.
She'll be like, what? She's going to be like, oh, why don't you go fuck blah, blah, blah. You picked on the show.
Yeah. Go fuck Eileen Wuornos because she was Charlize Theron in a movie one time.
Yeah. All right, Joe, here's your choices. Bachelorette number 1, known as the giggling granny. You won't have to compete for attention from the family of this old school beauty. She has lots of experience in relationships and never lets pesky kids or grandkids get in the way of her love of smoking and cruising the Lonely Hearts newspaper columns. Could you be the ones she's searching for? Don't let the scorching Scorpio get away. Ooh, Scorpio. Passionate and independent and unafraid to blaze their own trail no matter what others think. Scorpios make a statement wherever they go. They love debates, aren't afraid of controversy, and won't back down from a debate. But beware, any argument with her may be your last. All right, Bachelor number 2. This goal-oriented gal strove to be the best in her field. And, to date, nobody even knows how successful she was. A skilled nurse, this dame loves sexy experiments with sedatives and is known to stimulate both mind and body. Like all Aries, this one's a trailblazer. Passionate and independent, Aries will never do something just because everyone else is doing it. A Ram needs to be 100% committed to the task at hand. All right. And here's your last, Bachelorette number 3. This little Italian delicacy will bake her way into your heart. A real homebody, she also makes killer handmade soaps, guaranteed to keep your intimate parts clean and fresh. You will never have to sacrifice your needs. She makes sure others do that for you and really axes any funny business before it starts. As another Aries, you can expect a fiery temper and a tell-it-like-it-is bluntness. Honesty is important in any relationship. So which one you gonna choose? Bachelor number 1, Bachelor number 2, or Bachelor number 3?
I am probably going to go with Bachelorette number 2.
Oh.
Yeah. Nursing sounds kind of interesting.
He just wants to play doctor.
Yeah. I mean, I like being cared for, so there's nothing wrong with that.
He's just coming. For anybody wondering, he just got off the flu, so he's like, I really needed somebody to take care of me. So.
I really need medical attention. Yeah.
All right, Honora Kelly, a.k.a. Jane Topin. In 1931, Jane Topin confessed to 31 murders, and she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. A sadistic nurse who manipulated hospital reports, she took to experimenting with morphine and atropine on her patients. After administering a lethal dose of drugs, she would sit with and hold her patients until after they died. It was reported that Topin would fondle her victims as they died and attempt to see if the inner workings of their mind. The killer angel, often dubbed Jolly Jane, claimed her goal was to have killed more people, helpless people, than any other man or woman who ever lived. Wow, you picked a good one.
Yeah, she seems motivated and encouraging.
Clearly very sexual.
Yeah, she's in it to win it.
She's with you till the very end. She's not going to leave your side till that last breath. Here's the ones you didn't choose. Number 1 was Nanny Doss. Nanny Doss admitting to killing 11 people between 1920 and 1954. Among them were 4 of her 5 husbands, 2 children, her 2 sisters, her mother, a grandson, and a mother-in-law. Wow. The truth about her spree finally emerged in October of 1954 after her 5th husband, Samuel Doss, died in a hospital in Oklahoma. An autopsy revealed an immense amount of arsenic in his system. Doss confessed to a long list of murders, but was only convicted of killing Samuel. Her sentence was life in prison. Doss eventually died of leukemia in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary on June 2nd, 1965. Known under various names, Giggling Granny, Black Widow, and Lady Bluebeard, she was often referred to as the Lonely Hearts Killer because of her history with the Lonely Hearts column. During her childhood, Doss would read her mother's romance magazines as a hobby. Those magazines would become the medium through which she met most of her husbands, eventually becoming her victims. All right, so then the last one is Leonarda Cianciulli. How do you say that? Do you know anybody? Anyone?
I don't know. Bueller, Cianculi. You can just call her Leonardo. How about that?
She was the typical Italian housewife, better known as the soap maker of Correggio. She baked tea cakes and made homemade soap, except her recipes included a secret ingredient, human flesh. Ew. When she heard that her beloved son, Giuseppe, Giuseppe, I think is how they say it. I don't know. I'm awful with Italian. I apologize. Was to be, I'm having with any other thing besides my own ignorance. But anyway, Giuseppe was to be drafted into the Italian army. She believed that the only way to protect him in battle was by human sacrifice. Oh boy. So between 1939 and 1940, she murdered 3 women in Correggio, Italy. She would offer her victims a glass of drugged wine before killing them with an axe. She then cut up the corpses to make tea cakes, which were often served to her family and friends. As for the soap, she and her husband used it for bathing. Well, she was another one of those, use every part. If you're going to kill them, let's use everything.
Yeah. Cute.
So, Joe, out of these 3, which one would you fuck, marry, or kill?
Okay, well, this one's pretty easy, I think. So, Leonardo seems like an excellent family woman. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely marry her. She seems to be protective of her children. So I like that. And apparently she can make soap. So that's got to save on the budget a little bit.
She can probably cook Italian food really well.
Yeah. The Italian baker, get on that anytime you can. And then it's basically down to
killing and fucking.
I'd still enjoy going with the nurse for an afternoon. Yeah. So I would.
We know what I'm going to have to dress up as for the rest of your birthday weekend.
Moni's like on Amazon right now ordering a nurse's outfit.
Yeah. So, but and Nanny Doss, she's, I don't need to head down the Guilford route. Yeah. I'm good. We're fine with the older women.
I think that it's understandable why you would kill her. She takes out her entire family. There's nothing.
Well, she's got to have something going for her. She picked up 5 husbands.
Yeah.
That says something. At least you can charm people in there.
Well, this was fun. I love that. That was great.
I'm glad it worked out okay because it was a lot of work to write all this shit.
I learned so much about all of you and myself.
Yeah. So congratulations. We all have a lot of, now especially because we played several rounds, we all have a lot of killing and marrying and fucking and dating to do. We're very busy people now.
Yeah, and you know what's even interesting, because I picked Ted Bundy. He was actually on the dating game. He was a contestant on there, and he won. And then
some girl probably thought she scored when she saw him and thought he was cute or whatever, too.
She did, but then
he's a lawyer, he's cute, blah, blah, blah.
She canceled it because after talking to him, she got a bad vibe and canceled the date.
Someone followed her instinct.
Yeah, I bet she's like, whew, now. Oh, that was great.
Nice. So we hope you enjoyed our listener recommended horoscope, zodiac sign, and inspired dating game, the Who Would You Rather Serial Killer Edition for 2020. Kristi, can you tell us what our next show is going to be?
Yeah, also, hey, if you guys don't agree with our choices, feel free to do our texting with 21,000 if you sign up with Creep. And I would love to hear who you guys would have picked and why, or if you'd agree with our choices. I think this would be a hysterical conversation. So with that, our next show I've been putting this one on the side for a long time because it's going to be really big. I have to do a lot of research, and I think this week I have the time. So I'm hoping we're going to talk about Project Stargate, the psychic spies from the government. There was a FOIA request in this decade, and I can't remember when it exactly came out. I'll talk about it in the show, for the information for this. It was a government program that was funded for decades, and they accepted it and released the documents. And there is some crazy shit in there. And now a lot of the people that were involved with the project are starting to talk. So the Stargate program was a CIA-funded project that intended to cultivate psychic phenomena, or PSI, for espionage purposes. Over the course of its tenure, the program received roughly $20 million to hone the psychic abilities of its members in order to pinpoint military targets for intelligence agencies. Participants in the program say they had results no one ever expected. So apparently, some crazy shit went on, and it was apparently deemed a success for reasons, and then they also discovered things that they never in a million years could have even imagined. So we're going to talk about what was written in the documents that were released over to the FOIA, and we're also going to talk about the interviews that some of the people that participated in the program talk about their experiences and what they saw and went through. So really
definitely tinfoil hats for next week.
Be good. Get your tinfoil suits on. Get your whole body suit on, and let's dive in and get crazy.
Yeah, Joe's not going to get a nurse. He's going to get me in full tinfoil, from head to toe.
That could be hot, too.
It's going to be the most noisy. It's all tinfoil crackles.
Exactly. That would wake up the whole house. I would probably
a little sweaty, a little noisy. Going to have the kids out for that one.
I don't know
Sounds
why.
like static TV the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of that movie that had Jane Fonda in it, that when it was her hottest role ever, where she was a almost like a Flash Gordon type. God dang it. And she wore a tinfoil looking bodysuit.
Oh.
What was that?
Now you've got his attention back again.
Yeah, and she was freaking gorgeous when she was young.
She still is,
but you wouldn't even you would blow your wig if you saw her as a young woman. Dang it, Outer Space.
Joe's like, what movie is
Y'all
this? I would like to rent a movie today.
It's Barbarella.
I was never big on Jane Fonda.
Ooh.
Controversial opinion.
It's Barbarella. That's the name of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
She's 1968 science fiction based on the comic series by the same name. Stars Jane Fonda, a space traveler and representative of United Earth government sent to find scientist Duran, who has created a weapon that can destroy humanity.
Oh yeah.
So she's the Flash.
The weapon is her
Gordon.
hotness.
Yeah, and she uses her sexuality too. So it's kind of a hot movie. I remember watching it when I was a kid, and I was like, "What's happening with my parts? What's
happening to my body?
Here? Whoa,
lady boner."
I was born a weirdo. What can I say?
On that note, same. But that's why we're all here, right? That's why we all found each other here. I'm going to give us the socials for Dan, since he's not here to do that. You can find him at Caffeinated, which I always have trouble spelling, but it's caffeinated_Dan. You can find me across the board at Moni Bear. Joe Barrett, do you want to give your socials?
Nobody wants to follow me. I have nothing of relevance to say.
Oh my gosh, okay. They might want to follow you and fuck with you about your choices and be like, you were way off. You should have picked this.
Okay. I didn't know you weren't going to give him. Sorry.
Maybe he doesn't want to hear from our weirdos. That's cool.
I guess. Dang.
That's all right. You can find me at creepin_it on Twitter and creepin at Kristi on Instagram.
All right, and on that note, thanks for kill, marry, fucking, and dating and creeping it real with us.